God's Spirit is in my heart. He has called me and set me apart. This is what I have to do. What I have to do. He sent me to bring the good news to the poor.
Tell prisoners that they are prisoners no more.
Tell blind people that they can see, and set the downtrodden free.
And go tell everyone the news that the kingdom of God has come. And go tell everyone the news that God's kingdom has come. Just as the Father sent me, so I'm sending you out to be my witnesses throughout the world, the whole of the world.
He sent me to bring the good news to the poor.
Tell prisoners that they are prisoners no more.
Tell blind people that they can see, and set the downtrodden free.
And go tell everyone the news that the kingdom of God has come. And go tell everyone the news that God's kingdom has come.
Don't worry what you have to say. Don't worry because on that day, God's Spirit will speak in your heart. Will speak in your heart.
He sent me to bring the good news to the poor. Tell prisoners that they are prisoners no more. Tell blind people that they can see, and set the downtrodden free. And go tell everyone the news that the kingdom of God has come. And go tell everyone the news that God's kingdom has come. God's Spirit is in our hearts.
He has called us and set us apart.
This is what we have to do. What we have to do. He sent me to bring the good news to the poor. Tell prisoners that they are prisoners no more. Tell blind people that they can see, and set the downtrodden free. And go tell everyone the news that the kingdom of God has come. And go tell everyone the news that God's kingdom has come. And go tell everyone the news that the kingdom of God has come. And go tell everyone the news that God's kingdom has come.
You are welcome.
Thank you very much.
What time is it in Brazil now?
It's 4 p.m.
4 p.m.
Yeah, 16 p.m. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. So, you're welcome to my Facebook page, where I share my experience as a missionary, but as a Black person. So
Yeah.
today, I'm happy to have you as my guest. So,
Later.
as a missionary of Oblates of Mary, as missionary of Oblates of Mary Immaculate, we are sent to bring the good news to the poor in multiple phases and the most abandoned. And to accomplish this mandate, we form apostolic communities. We cross border to be in foreign missions. We seek to break down barriers by choosing closeness to people and interculturality as a way of being in mission. That's what our 36th general chapter, the text of our 36th general chapter number 62 says. So this evening, I'm happy to have you, Father Issa, Vincent Issa, O.M.I, as my guest and the guest of all those who might be following us through Facebook or any other means. So today, we are happy to have you among us. You crossed the border
Yeah.
from Nigeria to Brazil as a missionary to witness the love of Christ in company of his people and to equip yourself with, for you to be ready for this mission, you had to go through formations. So you have to learn French in Cameroon. You did your formation in Cameroon. And after that, today you are working in Brazil, from English to French, French to Portuguese.
Yeah.
So what does it mean? How does one feel, really? So during this period of conversation, we are going to share your experience. We want to know exactly what are your joys and your difficulties. What do you feel? What do you live? What are your experiences in mission as a missionary disciple? So, Vincent, or Father,
Yeah.
can you tell us?
You just pick anyone. It's the same thing. You call me his brother Vincent.
Thank you very much. So, today, can you tell us how a Nigerian left all the seminaries in Nigeria to be formed in Cameroon? And after all your formation in Cameroon, you start working in Cameroon or in Nigeria, you are today in Brazil, learning a new language and working in another continent. Can you tell us about yourself? Who are you? To begin with that.
Thank you very much for that question. My name is Vincent Inaluguisa. I always like using my maternal name because it means so much to me. For them to present myself that I'm from Africa. So actually, I grew up in the military barrack in Jos. I'm from the middle belt of Nigeria, but I didn't grow up from my state. I grew up in the middle belt in Jos, in the barracks. And my dad was in military, my mom was a trader, and in my family, I was the only one that, should I say, decided to follow the call of Christ. It's not been easy, but I thank God because He has always been there with me, accompanying me, showing me great things that I myself, I can't believe I will be able to do it, but He has always been there. So what I would say about myself is that I'm a poor man or a poor guy from a little part of Nigeria, and the Lord picked me and asked me to go to wherever He sends me, just like St. Paul. I'm not saying comparing myself to St. Paul, but personally, I think my life as in general, growing up in the barracks, knowing more of the military lives, and answering the call of Christ, is something that I see as a pure grace from God. It's a pure grace from God.
Oh, that's good to know. Thank you very much for that introduction. So you were born, you are Idoma, for those who are, for Nigerians who might listen to you, but you grew up in Jos. So already from the beginning, you have left your region, you have left your own maternal state, your maternal language, have gone to another place. In a barrack, in Nigerian barracks, generally you see people from every part of the world. So you grew up really in big community.
Yeah.
So did it help you to live as a missionary? Living community life is very important. Did your life in the barrack help you to integrate in a bigger group to begin?
Personally, I think it helps me a lot because in the barrack where we grew up, it's a mixture of all cultures and tribes of Nigerian. In the barrack, we don't know if you are an Igbo or an Hausa. We live, we do things together. And I think that's where that missionary life started rooted in me. And in my school, it's also the same thing. So in the barracks, it's a mixture of so many cultures and so many realities in Nigeria. and that helps me a lot. I can categorically confirm that with the experience I had in Barak, I can live in any part of Nigeria. Even I see language as a barrier, but I believe with time, as time goes on, I'll be able to cope up with the language. So personally, I think the barracks formed me, carved me, shaped me to who I am today.
Oh, that's good. But did it come to your mind like joining the army when you were young?
Initially, all the priests I've known right in the barrack are all military. So
Okay.
what came to my head back then was military, and there's a particular impression I had on priesthood. But when I came in contact with oblates, oblate priests who were living in Jos, Father Noel, I think he gave me a different conception of the priesthood. And I think that's where the curiosity gave birth in me. And I said, let me get to know more of the missionary life. I think that's where my whole mentality of the priesthood started changing, because initially I was thinking if I would become a priest, I might come back to the barrack and serve as a chaplain. I had that dream, but later, knowing other priests, missionaries, it changed completely. And I think those priests, I always see them as special people that God put in my way to model me and to change me.
Oh, that's good to know. I think myself, at a point, I wanted to, in fact, initially, why I joined the Oblates initially was because I read that the Oblates could be a military chaplain. So I really wanted to be a military priest
Yeah.
initially.
It's not
Then when
easy.
I
It's
had
not
to
easy.
no, they told me at the beginning that in Nigeria it's not possible. So I said there are so many other reasons why I want to be a missionary. So it doesn't matter whether I'm a military man or not, but
Yeah.
I'm a missionary. So that's the important thing. So
That
thank you very much. It's good to know that I'm not the only one who have had that idea beforehand. So what does it mean to be a Nigerian in Brazil? Do you feel
uh,
far from home? Do you feel disconnected? What does it mean to be a Nigerian in Brazil?
personally, I would like to say it's not easy. You know, when I was informed by the provincial Father Edwards that I'll be coming to Brazil for mission, I never thought of it, because when I asked my first obedient, I asked to work in Cameroon, but I was told that I'll be coming to Brazil. There was this fear that came into me, but Father Edward told me, "Don't be afraid, just go and be yourself, and the Lord will accompany you." And he once told me that I coming to Brazil is really the work of the Holy Spirit. That I should just see it as the work of the Holy Spirit. So being in Brazil from a foreign land, it's not been easy, but I have to give kudos to the Brazilians. Not only Oblate brothers here in Brazil, they welcomed me. The Brazilians are also welcoming, and it helped me to be integrated in the Brazilian society. I will not say I'm a fully Brazilian, but at least I can identify myself with the Brazilians.
Oh, that's good. It's good to know. That's
Yeah,
the spirit. You need to. One of those things I always tell myself is that once you arrive in a mission, one of the first things to do is to get down, watch, then try to be like the people. Those
yeah,
are your people. You walk with them, and I always say we are always pilgrims as missionaries, and that's being missionary disciple. So thank you very much for that. You
yeah.
had your formation many years in Cameroon. So during your formation, surely you had time to visit missions, you had time to meet some missionaries. But are
Yeah,
there things you think now that you are in mission? Because one thing is theories we learn in the seminary or in scholastic
yeah.
we call our own. Are there things you think should have been taught to you that could have equipped you better for this mission you are in today? Or do you think you had all you needed to be a missionary?
What I will say personally in that question, as a missionary, we always learn. Each day we learn things. So the formation I had in Cameroon helped me a lot, but I will not say it's enough. I still need more experience, knowing more missionaries, mostly meeting missionaries from the Latin, that is this part of the world, because of in Africa, most of the missionaries we met are those from Europeans, from North Americans, sometimes from Asia, but not always. But meeting missionaries, I mean oblates from the Latin American is not really easy. So in that aspect, I think it was a bit difficult. But as I said, as our founder said, oser comme le grand. I think that's the secret word that helped me. And when
José
I
Grand
arrived,
Le Monde.
exactly, oser grand comme le monde. I think that's the secret word that always accompany me. I remember that I went to the novitiate to share my experience. I always remember that sentence that you should oser grand comme le monde. I think if all missionaries will have that in their head, it will help a lot.
Okay, that's good. That's good. I think there are also those following us who might want to hear some words in French.
Yeah.
So I think in this very question, you can answer it in French or in English if you want. This is what I'm going to ask you now.
Okay.
Or you can combine them if you wish. So
Let me say something. My French is a bit
it's okay.
because yeah, I do mix it now with with Portuguese. It's not that
We
easy. It's only
want
English
to
I know
hear
and
it.
identify very well.
We want to hear it. That's
Okay.
Donc, pendant les années de formation à
Oui,
Plumé,
oui,
tu as quand même eu des cours de missiologie.
oui, oui, oui,
Et tu as eu aussi des cours de théologie pastorale.
oui.
Est-ce que les cours de missiologie que tu as eu pendant ces années et les cours de théologie pastorale que tu as eu ces années étaient suffisants pour un jeune missionnaire qui doit quitter son pays, son continent et aller dans une autre église totalement différente de ce qu'on connaît de notre lieu de naissance et de notre lieu de formation. Est-ce que tu crois que c'était suffisant?
Ah, je pense que c'était pas suffisant parce que la mission est vaste. Si on parle de la mission, c'est quelque chose de très vaste et chaque missionnaire fait son expérience. Ce qui m'a beaucoup aidé durant ma formation, c'est que nous avons un formateur qui est missiologue, le père Alexius Igozerike. Il était missiologue et à l'école, c'est lui qui nous a enseigné ses cours. Et ça nous a beaucoup aidé et ça m'a fait à étudier plus. Parce que comme on est oblat, on doit travailler, on doit étudier bien pour réussir bien aussi. On n'a pas fait la honte de notre confrère. Donc, j'étais obligé d'étudier bien. Mais je pense, ce qui m'a beaucoup aidé durant ma formation, durant mes années de formation au Cameroun, c'était quand j'ai fait mon stage après les études philosophiques. J'étais envoyé chez les Pygmées à l'est du Cameroun. Et c'était une expérience vraiment missionnaire, si je peux dire ainsi. Missionnaire parce que un endroit où il n'y a pas de réseau, pas d'électricité, pour vivre avec les pygmées, connaissant leur réalité, entrer dans leur caste pour connaître ce qu'ils sont en train de vivre. Ça m'a aussi donné une autre idée sur la vie missionnaire. Et je pense quand je suis rentré au Scholastica, j'avais dit quelque chose, que la mission, bien, je suis prêt à aller n'importe où parce que la joie s'est créée par le missionnaire lui-même. J'étais dans un endroit coupé du monde, mais je me rends compte que dans cet endroit, j'étais très heureux, très heureux. Tous les jours, il y a cette force pour aller en avant, pour faire les activités. Et cela, cette idée est venue dans ma tête, que la joie s'est créée par celui qui veut créer cette joie. Mais si on ne veut pas, ça ne va pas venir.
Merci beaucoup. C'est très bien.
Merci.
Okay. When you arrived in Brazil, was there any initial formation? Were you prepared? What time did it take you to get used to the language, to the church, and everything? And what was the initial? What were the means given to you to get used to the church and the mission?
Actually, there's one thing I have to thank the Bishop Conference in Brazil. You know, once we're a missionary, we arrived in Brazil for the first time. There is what they organize for all missionaries arriving to Brazil. And what they normally organize is more of the initiation to Brazilian life. And it's mostly done a 3-month program. You learn Portuguese, You even have a moment you go and live with a Brazilian family just to know the reality of how Brazilian family lives. So when I arrived here, I think it took me 3 months, and that gives me a wide knowledge of what I'm going to face in Brazil. So after that experience, it's a rich experience. I think it's very, very good. You study most inculturation and all that just to help us to know the Brazilian society. I think that's the secret. If you're a missionary coming to Brazil, it will help a lot. If other countries will be doing the same thing, I think missionaries will not have difficulties in their various countries of mission.
Oh, that's good. Preparing
Yeah,
you, giving you opportunity to get used to the life of the people, to be
yeah,
able to accompany them. I think is
yeah.
very important. If you don't
And
understand how they live, you can't.
and there is something I want to say. While we arrived during that 3 months of formation, there are so many things that inform us of the Brazilian ways. So when I arrived in my parish, there was this shock of culture. I remember they already warned us about it. So I was telling my former parish priest that look at it, but I was already informed. So I'm not. It's a bit surprised and shocking, but I've already been informed. So it's not new to me. And my parish priest laughed. He said, "That's the spirit of a missionary."
That's good to know. So those listening to us and who have some questions for our brother are free to write it in the commentary section so that along the line he can respond to them. Feel free to ask your questions. I think he is a missionary disciple, so if he knows the answer, he will answer. If he doesn't know the answer, he will tell you what he thinks about it.
I hope so.
That's one of our speciality. We don't claim to know more than we know.
Yeah,
So, thank you very much. As we are going on, I said at the
yeah,
beginning, I want to know about your experience, your lived experience. Coming
yeah,
from Nigeria, you know, in Nigeria, the church is like really strong. So you
yeah,
grow up being altar server. You grow up with many society, these pious societies. But at a point you go to Cameroon, you see something different. So my
yeah,
question is, what have you learned from your missionary experience that have changed your idea of mission and the church? You have seen things, you have
yeah.
met people, you have worked with the people of God, you have seen the way the church functions there. What really have you seen that really changed your idea of the church and the mission?
You know, when I was in Nigeria, I had my own personal impression of the priesthood. I always thought that as a priest, being in a military barracks and all that, the priest is like the Almighty. Once he comes, mm, always imposing and all that. I went to Cameroon. That impression changed a little bit. Knowing so many priests in Cameroon and so many aspects of the priesthood. But arriving in Brazil, my impression of the priesthood changed completely. I now understand that being a priest is being closer to the people. Being closer to the people. I don't know if you've heard of the theology of
For sure.
liberation. Yeah, it's
Direct.
more of that idea. Being closer to the poor, listening to them more. And if there is need, you come to their help. And one thing I understand here in Brazil or in my missionary experiences, you listen more and act. I mean, you listen more and act because that's what I observed here. And what I've observed in my missionary experiences, as a priest, you're not the Almighty. As a priest, you are just is a servant whom God have picked from His people to serve. And I think that is one thing I've always that I've fashioned my way of thinking of the priesthood. So my missionary experience here as a priest is more of allowing the people to speak to me, trying to meet God through the people. Because if I think I'm the Almighty that knows everything, I don't think I'll be able to learn and know what the people really want from me and what the people really expect from me. And I think being closer to them, listening to them, always trying to be observant helps me a lot in my missionary work.
Ah, ça, c'est impressionnant. C'est impressionnant de l'attendre. Comment l'Église, d'un pays à l'autre, prend d'autres formes.
Ouais,
C'est beau de le voir, mais ça ne nous laisse pas indifférents. Et quand tu vas au Nigeria, tu es déjà là en vacances, je crois.
J'étais aux vacances l'année passée.
Ou
Et j'aimerais dire quelque chose sur cette expérience que j'ai parlé. Quelque chose que j'ai appris comme missionnaire, c'est que quand nous partons dans un endroit, nous devons être attentifs. Nous devons écouter les gens. Et nous ne partons là, nous ne partons pas pour changer la culture, mais pour aider les gens à rencontrer Jésus à travers la culture. Je parle de mon expérience ici au Brésil. Je suis venu ici, j'ai vu beaucoup de choses que je n'ai jamais vues dans ma vie, sur la vie de l'Église et tout cela. Mais avec le temps, j'ai compris que cette chose fait partie de la réalité ici. Et ça m'a beaucoup aidé. Et je me suis dit, si au Nigeria, si on peut faire beaucoup de choses qui touchent la réalité du peuple. Par exemple, la prière eucharistique. Si on peut voir les préfaces qui parlent de la réalité du Nigérian, ça va nous aider beaucoup, je pense.
That's very important. Can you say it in English in case there are
what I just said, I said that being in Brazil as a missionary, you don't come to change the reality or the culture of the people. You come, you observe, you looked, and yeah, you can propose to what you have. For example, being in Brazil, when I came to Brazil, I discovered that the Eucharistic prayers, there are so many parts of them, prefaces, 1 up to 10 prefaces and Eucharistic prayers. And those prefaces talks about the realities of the Brazilian people. And I think this helps a lot because once you are listening, these prayers are being formulated by our own pastors. It helps a lot. Not those from, I'm not against the Roman, no, I'm not against it. We have it here. But at least something that will help, that once we listen it, this comes from us. It is our reality and it helps us to pray. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Trying to enculturate, try to really allow the church to speak the language of the people, not doing transliteration, but really doing a translation that really takes into consideration the lived experience of the local church. I think that's very important, and thank you for saying that. And there's this question: how long did it take you to learn Portuguese?
That's a nice question. You know, it took me 3 months. 3 months. I remember when I arrived here, after 1 month, I was able to celebrate Mass, but without O.M.I, just celebrate Mass, just because of listening and trying to read. Because there was a situation, I was in the provincial house and most of the priests were busy. So I was with the brother said, you are going to celebrate today. I was so shocked. I said, okay, let me try my best. And I did it. And it took me just 3 months to learn Portuguese. And up to now, Brazilians are also surprised. I remember when the bishop came here this year, the first thing after the Mass, he told me, your Portuguese is very good. Keep it up. That was it told me. He told me that you learn Portuguese very well. You should keep it up. Yeah.
Is it close to French?
The bishop.
No, I mean is Portuguese close to French? The French.
Yeah. That what helped me a lot because if you look at the grammatical structure in French, it's also the same thing in Portuguese, subjunctive and all that. So they're all Latin languages. Mm-hmm. So there are sometimes when I'm preaching, I don't know the word in Portuguese. I'll just Portuguese the word. And when I do that, I ask them, is it like this? They say, yeah. I'll use my French knowledge and they say, yeah, it's like that. I say, thank God, I'm on track.
That's beautiful. That's creativity. Using what you have to get what you want. That's good. So, before we are going towards the end. But before then, what can you tell young people information? There are so many young people today who wishes. There's so many young people who wish to be missionary today. Yeah. Some of them have the idea of missionary as, I don't know, this or that. What can you tell a young person who wants to be a missionary but is doubting or is not yet sure of what awaits him or her?
Well, I'll use the word of our founder, Jose Grand Comme le Monde. I think that word is so tears into us, oblates. Jose Grand Comme le Monde. And when I look at
the equivalent might be there is another language another one he uses. Leave nothing undead.
Leave
nothing unveiled. Try anything. Try to
I think that should be the secret for all mission. Those who aspire to be who who have that desire of becoming a missionary someday. I think that's the secret of it. So what I personally I will tell them is, you don't choose where you want to go for mission. You don't choose. Allow the Holy Spirit to decide for you. I myself being in Brazil, never thought of it. Never thought of being in Brazil in my life. But I'm here. And I'm here, I'm happy. And that's the secret. And the second thing, if anywhere you are going as a missionary, always be happy. Find and create your joy for yourself. Joy will not come from nobody, but if you can work for it, you'll take it for yourself. And the last thing I'll have to say, if you are aspiring to, always be simple and always be willing to learn. Don't allow pride to dominate us, dominate you. Like myself, there are so many times people always correct me in Portuguese. Once they correct me, I always accept it. I once told them in the mass that if I speak bad Portuguese and you people don't correct me, and I discovered later, I will be angry with you people. So you have that mission, even though you know I will not be happy, but you have to do it for me. And they have been doing it, always correct me. This word, they didn't pronounce it very well, and it helps me a lot. So be humble and be simple. It will help a lot.
Well, that's good to know. So if there are those listening to us who have questions, you feel free to ask them. I think because we are going towards the end, so that we can attempt to answer them before we close. But even if after this live broadcast you still have questions, don't hesitate to write it. Keep it for us. He will attempt it later, or he can even come back again on live to answer those questions if they are so. If really they need his presence, I think he told me he'll be ready to come online whenever his presence will be needed. Is needed for that. So. As I wait for them, I would want to know, and this might be, if there are no other questions, this might be the last question.
Yeah.
You are a young missionary. You
Yeah.
are in a church that is growing. You are in fact, at this moment in time in our church,
Yeah.
we need to really update ourselves to be able to face the challenges and the reformation or the evolution going on in mission, in theology, and in pastoral life. So,
Yeah.
I want to know, what was the last book you read?
Actually, the last book I will not give comment on the last book I read, because
Okay.
I have a book on mission. When I arrived here, may he so rest in peace, the former provincial of Brazil, when I arrived, he gave me a book on spirituality and mission. And that's I think that book is what is helping me in my missionary life. There's something the author said about this book. He said missionaries carry within themselves the message that is rooted in their own lives. Missionaries carry within themselves carries within them a message that is rooted in their lives. And I asked myself, what is that message that is rooted in their lives, if not the message, the good news of Christ? I think that's the message rooted in us. And I think that message is the secret of everything. As a missionary, we don't go with any other mission, any other message, if not the message of Christ. I'm in Brazil. What I'm here for is just to present Christ the way Christ is in me, not the way Christ is in you. I'm going to present my own personal experience with Christ, not your own experience, because I don't know your experience with Christ. It's not so. So I think that's the book is very very inspiring. It's very inspiring. And there's one sentence he said that mission is a movement to the heart of God. Mission is a movement to the heart of God. From what I try to understand it, what I realize is it's a movement because it has always been the project of God to save mankind. And to do that, he sent his son, Jesus Christ, who is a missionary who is the first missionary and the only missionary with big M, with capital M. I think just shows what God, his projects he has in his heart. I think that's what he was trying to say in that aspect. So the title of this book is Spirituality and Mission. The book was written by Giorgio Pagliari. He's an Italian, a missionary who have lived in Brazil for more than 25 years. So in the book, he shared his own experience and how to help those coming to Brazil, how to embrace the mission. Yeah,
Hmm. That's good. That's very, very good. I think
yeah,
that's a very one of the I think it's one of the secrets is trying to learn from the experience of those who have been there. Most of when you are already on the ground, you
yeah,
read what others have written because it helps you to define what you really experience.
yeah.
One thing is to read about a mission, other thing is to live it. But then, as long as you live the mission, but you have no words to define what you have as experience, you are handicapped. So I think it's a very nice.
J'aimerais partager quelque chose.
Okay.
Quand nous faisions la formation au capital, Brasilia, donc nous faisons une conférence sur l'inculturation. Et le conférencier nous dit, il nous a dit un exemple. Il dit, il y a deux missionnaires qui arrivent au Brésil au même moment. Et après une semaine, un va au marché, il change tout ses habits et commence à s'habiller comme les Brésiliens. Et l'autre entre toujours dans sa chambre, ne veut pas sortir. Mais il dit, après 6 mois, celui qui est entré dans sa chambre ne voulait pas sortir, entrer bien dans la mission. Et c'est lui qui voulait montrer qu'il est déjà bien enraciné dans la culture brésilienne. Après une semaine, demande de rentrer chez lui. Et il nous a dit, ce qu'il voulait nous dire, c'est que dans la vie missionnaire, quand on est dans un endroit, il devait avoir ce choc de culture. Le début sera difficile. Parfois, on aura la nostalgie de la maison. Mais c'est avec le temps que ça va se guérir. Et avec le temps, on commence à entrer dans la culture où nous sommes, petit à petit, parce que ça ne se fait pas brusquement. Et il nous a dit, comme nous sommes ici, il ne faut pas que nous cherchions à être les Brésiliens immédiatement. Nous devons aller doucement, doucement. Et nous allons connaître les réalités brésiliennes. Et nous allons entrer bien dans la mission. Sinon, si nous cherchons à forcer les choses, après un mois, 2 mois, il y a parmi nous, certains qui vont demander, moi je veux rentrer chez moi, parce que ça ne vaut pas la peine de vivre ici. C'est quelque chose de très, très profond.
Merci beaucoup. Et avant de finir, nous annonçons déjà que la semaine prochaine, probablement, nous allons avoir l'honneur d'accueillir Basile et Boubé Obiege.
Et Boubé Choukou.
He's a classmate, I think. He's a classmate.
No. We once I think we are in the scholastic kit for I think
he was behind you, yeah. So he will be our next guest. He's in RDC Congo, also formed in Cameroon, in Congo, and from Nigeria. And today he's in RDC Congo. So next week we will hear from him to know about his own experience in big Congo with his big culture and his own rights and many other things. So it's
very interesting. I imagine it will be very interesting.
Yeah, so next week already, don't miss this because that will be a very big thing. Another big one. It might not be as big as this Isa's own.
No, I think it's bigger than this one.
Anyway, each one is unique. You said that.
Yeah, yeah.
So if there are no other questions, I think we might just say, what will be the last word you will tell anybody, not just those who wants to be missionary. Anyway, you know, we are all called to be missionaries, wherever you are. But somebody who wants to follow Christ, if you are asked to give your last word to somebody who wants to follow Christ, it might not be big theology, but what will you tell the person?
Personally, I always say that you have to experience Christ personally. Don't allow others to tell you that Christ did that for me, that Christ did that for me. You should be able to say it you yourself that Christ did this for me. Once you are asked to define Christ, who is Christ to you? I personally think you should not say what others are saying. You should define Christ from your own experience. And it means if you have not experienced him, you have to look for ways to experience Him. It will help. It will help you a lot. And I think the secret of being a good missionary is that experience with Christ. Once you go anywhere, once that experience is strong, you will live in any situation, any type of situation, because you know that the person that is greasing you is always by your side. And I think that's my advice to everybody, not only missionaries but all Christians. Experience Christ, and once you experience Christ, I don't think you have that hate in your heart that I always see in Nigeria, my enemy, my enemy, my enemy. Once you have that profound experience, that idea of I have enemy will be out. You will not even notice it that you no longer have an enemy. It's just the secret.
Est-ce que tu peux le dire en 2 mots en français?
Bien sûr, je peux le dire. Mon dernier conseil pour chacun de nous est d'expérimenter, non? C'est expérimenter si je ne me trompe
On
pas.
a fait l'expérience.
Ah, exactement. C'est de faire l'expérience de Jésus-Christ. Parce que quand on fait l'expérience de Jésus, notre conception, notre manière de faire va changer. Et en plus de ça, nous ne devons pas parler de Jésus selon ce que nous attendons les gens disent de Jésus. Mais nous devons faire notre expérience. Si quelqu'un me demande qui est Jésus pour toi, je dois dire qui il est pour moi, partant de mon expérience. Non ce que j'ai entendu parler, mais de mon expérience à moi, de mon expérience personnelle. Et à base de ça, si nous arrivons à faire cela, même si on nous envoie à l'enfer, nous irons là-bas. Parce que la personne qui est à nous, c'est lui qui va nous donner cette force de continuer cette mission.
Can you greet some of your Portuguese friends who might be listening to you or who might see it later? Can you greet them in Portuguese?
Bom, queria do fundo do meu coração agradecer a cada de vocês que estão participando nessa emissão. Eu sei que eu não sei quantas pessoas estão participando, mas do fundo do meu coração, muito obrigado. Eu vi daqui a pouquinho a Nuraci que mandou uma saudação. Nuraci, eu te vi. Muito obrigado, muito obrigado. E felizmente não posso fazer esse vídeo em português, mas de qualquer jeito, eu acho que você já entendeu tudo o que eu queria dizer. Mas queria também agradecer a cada de vocês, brasileiros, brasileiras. Você me apoiem aqui no Brasil. Do fundo do meu coração, eu tenho um sentimento de agradecimento para cada de vocês. E como eu gosto de dizer, eu sou paraense, pai de égua, então estou muito feliz.
Muchas gracias.
Muito feliz.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
I don't know how to thank you now.
Yeah.
I'm blessed to listen to your experience. It reminds me of also most of what you have said today are those things I live on daily basis. And
Yeah.
I hope we'll have you back again to come and tell us more about your mission as time goes on. Thank you very much. And we'll keep you in our prayers and continue to pray for us. And let's move together. Let us be missionaries in our own way, missionary disciples. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Brother Ali. I hope to see you next time also.
Yeah.
You're also a missionary, don't forget also. I think you should also create time to share your experience with us.
Yeah, I will.
Okay,
Thank you very much. And thank you thanks to everyone who found time to listen to this. Do try to share it with your friends and let's continue sharing. And let's continue being ourselves, like myself, flag and missionary, and happily oblate. Thank you very much and have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
Ciao.
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 Señor, toma mi vida nueva, antes de que la espera desgaste años en mí. Estoy dispuesto a lo que quieras, no importa lo que sea, tú llámame a servir. Llévame donde los hombres necesiten tus palabras, necesiten mis ganas de vivir. Donde falte la esperanza, donde falte la alegría, simplemente por no saber de ti. Te doy mi corazón sincero para gritar sin miedo tu grandeza, Señor. Tendré mis manos sin cansancio, tu historia entre mis labios y fuerza en la oración. Llévame donde los hombres necesiten tus palabras, necesiten mis ganas de vivir. Donde falte la esperanza, donde falte la alegría, simplemente por no saber de ti. Y así en marcha iré cantando, por calles predicando lo bello que es tu amor. Señor, tengo alma misionera, condúceme a la tierra que tenga sed de ti. Llévame donde los hombres necesiten tus palabras, necesiten mis ganas de vivir. Donde falte la esperanza, donde falte la alegría, simplemente por no saber de ti, simplemente por no saber de ti, simplemente por no saber de ti.